Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us, board colleagues. Thank you for being here, Dr. Stubblefield. To all of our staff and our guests, welcome. It is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, 5:03 p.m. We'll call our regularly scheduled board meeting to order. As we do at every board meeting, we'll read our board norms and protocols. We agree to respect differences of opinions in making decisions for the district, to follow best practices in managing the superintendent and the management of the board itself, to stay on task when conducting business for the district, including while at board meetings, to never surprise the superintendent or each other when conducting official business of the district, to read these norms at the beginning of each board meeting and at board workshops as a reminder of how to conduct our meetings, and to continually self-check to determine if we're following our norms when conducting district business. Again, good afternoon. Great to see everyone. Hope you're enjoying your summer and staying cool in this heat. So with that, we'll go ahead and start. Ms. Smith, would you please do a roll call?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, present.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, present.
Robert Mylan Jr.
Robert Mylan Jr. present.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, present.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, present.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, present.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's regular agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Smith.
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.
Robert Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we'll jump right into our agenda. First part of our agenda item number 2. We have our awards and recognition. Tonight, we get to celebrate the Saturday Academy program. Dr. Stubblefield.
Yes, so I will ask the representatives from the Saturday Academy to come. They have a short presentation that they will share to give some information about the Saturday Academy, and then we will also hear from 2 of our students who participate in the Saturday Academy. So you can introduce yourselves, and thank you for being here this evening.
Great, thank you so much for having us.
And then if you could just make sure you're speaking into the mic just so everyone online can hear you as well. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, so I am Misha Jones. I am the program coordinator for K-12 Initiative.
And I'm Jessica Rodas. I'm the program manager for K-12.
And we are excited to be here at today's board meeting to discuss our program and as well as to have you all listen to some student perspectives, which you will hear later on.
And before you continue, I apologize. Ms. Rodriguez did remind me right before the meeting, and of course I forget, if anyone does need Spanish interpretation, we do have that available today during today's meeting. If you would like Spanish interpretation, please raise your hand to let one of our staff members know. We'll make sure to get an interpreter for you. Si usted necesita un intérprete para la reunión de hoy día, puede levantar la mano. Tenemos intérpretes disponibles para la presentación esta tarde. So if you do need an interpreter, please let us know. Tenemos en español, so we do have Spanish interpreters available. And I apologize for interrupting. Thank you.
Oh, no, you're fine. We prepared a PowerPoint, so I'm going to pull that up. Oh, perfect. So like we mentioned, we are part of the K-12 Initiative program.
So our purpose is to share a little bit about the K-12 initiative and the work that we do with students in KCKPS. The K-12 initiative is housed out of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at the KU School of Medicine in partnership with the Kansas City Kansas Community College, as well as with KCKPS. We are currently in we're going into our 25th year of proudly serving our community here in Wyandotte County. The K-12 initiative is a health and STEM pathway program for primarily middle and high school students to learn about careers in health and STEM, in which the students come to programming and engage in a variety of activities to enhance their self-development, workforce development, as well as their academic development.
So as you can see, these are the demographics of our students for the 2023-2024 school year. all of the KCKPS middle schools and high schools were represented. So these are the numbers of the students that were in each of our programs, and Saturday Academy, Health Sciences, and the Accelerated Cancer Experience Research Internship. And so we included the demographics for race and ethnicity as well as gender.
So next, we'll talk a little bit about the different student opportunities that are available. At the moment, we have 3 core, as we're currently undergoing a restructuring of K-12 initiative. Saturday Academy is by far our biggest. That occurs during the academic school year, followed by the Health Sciences Academy, and then the ACE Research Internship that's offered during our summer. Saturday Academy, it's for both our middle and high school students. As I mentioned, it's over the academic school year. Students come in the equivalent of a school day, 14 Saturdays throughout the academic school year, in which they rotate through a variety of different academic activities and modules. And so within the experience, students network with health professionals, STEM professionals. Our team is made up of professionals as well as college professors, college interns, students that are PhD in graduate school, and what have you. About over 80% of our staff are alumni of the program who once sat within our school district and are now professionals in their fields or graduate students here in the community continuing to serve the students. So students at the end of the day do a group-based research project that's community-based to speak about something that they've learned in academy and how it impacts the community. For all of programming, stipends are provided to students to offset some barriers, financial barriers for them. Breakfast, lunch, and transportation is also provided.
So our next program is the Health Sciences Academy. This is one of our summer experiences. It's actually going on right now. It is a 5-week interactive health and STEM experience for high school students. We also have some social, emotional learning activities and workshops included through team building and self-care. The Health Sciences Academy occurs at the KU Medical Center, and we have some sessions that are held at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College. The students will do academic and career exploration similar to Saturday Academy. They will explore different health and STEM careers and to see, kind of learn on what they want, what they're interested in doing when they grow up. Similar to Saturday Academy, the students also participate in group-based research projects. At the end of our presentation, we will have an invitation for the end of the summer poster forum. So that is where the students will be able to present their projects. And like Saturday Academy, we do provide stipends, transportation, and light breakfast as well as lunch.
And at the end of this pathway is our ACE Research Internship. That's for both junior and senior high school students. They've now have learned what it's like to research and gone through a group setting. Now they're at the individual level working one-on-one with a researcher at the KU Cancer Center, learning about research, learning about how research impacts our community within health. And they're able to contribute to the knowledge within the research field, and they also present at the closing ceremony to the community and are able to then have opportunities to present their research to other conferences or other opportunities in the community abroad.
All right, so how can the students join the program? So we have a QR code which takes you to our website. We have an application page on our website. So the application is fully online. We ask for basic demographic information to get to know the students. We also ask for a transcript or report card to show their grades, as well as an essay that displays why they're interested in joining our programs. The application for the upcoming school year, it will open up in late July. So once that happens, our application webpage will be live.
And before we transition to the student perspective, we also are very proud to have KCKPS teachers and staff members work within Saturday Academy and programming. And so the doors are always open for additional teachers to come and work with us and with our students as well. Our student perspectives, we'd like to present Ms. Rubicel Munoz and Ms. Maya Williams.
Hello, my name is Rubicel Munoz.
And hi, my name is Maya Williams. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I am a senior. I will be a senior this upcoming year at Sumner Academy, and I am hoping after high school to go to KCKCC and get a biology degree, and then transfer to KU and pursue a medical pathway to become an obstetrician gynecologist.
And so, starting in the fall, I will be a senior at Sumner Academy. My future goals are to attend K-State and obtain a major in civil engineering.
We are both currently in the ACE internship, and I am working with PhD Christy Brown to work on a research project which is about breast cancer and obesity.
And I work with Dr. Joan Lewis-Wamby, looking at breast cancer and how it relates to certain drug resistance.
So every year in Saturday Academy, from the beginning to the end, we are looking at different modules to work towards a research project. And this year, me and Maya worked on a project with the technology module where we chose a technology-based research project and how it related to health. And our guided question was, what are the implications of portable technology on promoting healthier lifestyles? After doing some research, we found out that it helped how we approach our health and wellness because it encouraged behavioral changes and it increased awareness for people who use the technology like Fitbits or smartwatches. It also could benefit anyone despite on their demographics because it was just a robot or some sort of technology piece that wouldn't affect them based on where they came from or what they look like.
And so after research, I organized this chart which sort of shows the different effects of technology by age groups because they extend beyond just different portable devices. And so what this shows are some of the pros and cons on technology. For seniors, as an example, it really eliminates that feeling of being a burden as they're able to obtain a source of entertainment and interact with people just from the comforts of their own home. For younger demographics, such as people of our age range, it's great for networking and building relationships with people when we don't really have that face-to-face opportunity.
So as I said earlier, we are both working on research projects with the ACE internship, and at the end of each summer program that we're in, we have a high school poster forum, which this year it'll be on Friday, July 19th from noon to 2 p.m., where we will be showing the research that we did throughout the summer.
Thank you, and again, we'd like to invite you to the poster forum. We'll send the invitation to you, and please feel free to share that with the greater KCKPS community.
Thank you so much for the information. Thank you to the students. Congratulations on the work. We'll make sure that we do get the information circulated, including the application. Once it does open up, we'll make sure that we share that with all of our students as well. Ms. Page.
Yeah, thank you for what you guys are doing, and I've had an opportunity to come out on some Saturdays in previous years and see what you're doing. But my concern is, how can we get more young men in your program? You have the data that shows 63% are female and 34% are males. So how do we get more young men involved in this? And you said in order to apply, do you have to have a certain GPA?
Yes, so the application, the minimum GPA is 2.5.
Okay.
However, we have taken students below the GPA because we understand they're also growing, and it's opportunity for them to continue to grow and increase that GPA. We would love to be able to go more into the schools and speak to them, as well as any groups that you would feel that would be good for us to speak to and be able to increase that, because we've seen that number increase where we have more females in the group compared to males. And yes, I agree, that is an area that
But I didn't know you got the data, and what are you going to do with it?
So, Ms. Page, one of the things, because this was the first year that I actually had an opportunity to go a few Saturdays to observe, so I invited them here, one, so that we made everyone aware, like, here, our partnership, and we have talked with we'll talk with our EDs of schools to make sure that we are providing access so that students can apply, because some of it is some students didn't know about it. When I was there on their last day, and I did get to see the projects from the two young ladies who presented tonight, also saw several young men. We just were talking about how do we get more students involved. All of our schools are represented in the Saturday Academy. Some schools have larger student populations because I think it's by word of mouth. So we just were talking to the students, and then we'll work directly with our principals when the application opens so that we can get more students connected. The school district provides the transportation for the students. And the goal, if I remember right, when I was there on the last day, is ideally they would like to have about 100 kids at each grade level. Am I making that up?
No, that's, yeah. Pre-COVID, our numbers were 210 to 20, and so post-COVID, we've been at about 115. So we're certainly working on getting those numbers back up. And
Yeah. And so one of the things that I would say is collectively, we can make sure that we share the information, and then they've been very gracious. Like when I was like, can you come share the information with our board? Will you go? We will also figure out a way for them to share with our principals and to figure out times when they can be in the schools to talk to the students directly about applying and providing the support for the application process for those students.
Dr. Nguyen.
And thank you. I, too, have had the opportunity to attend about 2 of your graduations, but hearing that you've been there for 25 years just kind of slaps me in the face of not, attending more. But those were my 2 questions. How do you currently advertise? I see that we're going to beef it up, but how do you currently advertise?
yes, once our application opens, we'll share it through our social media pages. We'll also send it through listservs that we have of previous teachers who've participated in Saturday Academy that share it with their students, or other contacts that we may have at the schools. We've also recently started going to the KCKPS district fair prior to the new school year. Our first one was last year, so we certainly look forward to coming again this summer.
And before we get the information, what's the location of the poster forum?
It's at the KU Medical Center main campus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions or comments from the board? Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations to our students, and we hope you have an excellent summer and an excellent school year coming up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next presenter, Mr. Edwin Birch, has a special presentation or acknowledgement today as well.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to thank you, Randy Lopez, and board members for allowing me the opportunity to share some exciting news this evening. Last week, as many of you know, we participated in various events and activities to celebrate Juneteenth. Now, as part of these celebrations, Marco Johnson and I had the privilege of traveling to the state capitol on Tuesday to participate in one of the many events as part of the Kansas statewide Juneteenth celebrations. It was a pleasure to accept, on behalf of our superintendent, Dr. Anna Stubblefield, the Educator of the Year Award. This prestigious award was presented, of course, in recognition of Dr. Stubblefield's exceptional dedication and contributions to our students and families in KCKPS. Mr. Curtis Pitts, who is the president and CEO of the Revelations Evangelistic Ministry, Inc. of the Heartland, had the honor of presenting the award to us. Dr. Stubblefield was among several individuals from across the state of Kansas who were recognized at the Heritage Luncheon in honor of the Juneteenth holiday. This year's theme was the Kansas Spirit of Freedom that unites us. So please again, join me in congratulating Dr. Stubblefield on this remarkable recognition. We want to take a group picture with you, Dr. Stubblefield, and the board members.
Several.
Oh, yeah, slow. I was letting y'all go back. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Birch, and congratulations, Dr. Stubblefield. We're glad to have you, and great job. Keep it up. So even in the summertime, we continue to celebrate and have great awards and recognition. So thank you, board. All right, we'll continue with our agenda. Next up is agenda item number 3, our community comment. Just a reminder, everyone is welcome to give comment. Just please sign up with our board clerk at least Monday at noon before the day before the board meeting. And tonight we have on our agenda Ms. Jamia Warren. Let's see, Ms. Warren, okay. We also have Mr. Fred Postlethwaite. Okay. All right. Left, okay, thank you. Okay, we'll continue with our agenda. Item number 4, our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing and hearing none, Ms. Smith.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Robert Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, board, I would entertain a motion to recess to executive session for preliminary discussion on the acquisition of real property under Kansas Open Meetings Act, going in at 5:30 for 15 minutes to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lilly, Dr. Campbell, Mr. Matt Watkins, and Ms. Samry Devon. Going for 15 minutes. Is Mr. Clements coming in? No, okay. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? All right, Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. session, please? Moved by Ms. Drew, seconded by Mr. Mylan. Discussion? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew. Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr. Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell. Dr. Nguyen.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion to, this right, motion to recess to executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of parties involved under coma, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lilly, Dr. Campbell, Ms. Samry Devon, and Ms. Sarah Hamlin for 10 minutes, going in at 5:51. Moved by Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. Russell. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew. Randy Lopez.
Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr. Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell. Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you. right, thank you. Is there a motion to return to open session, please?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Gwen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, next, we have information about the classified salary schedule. It's recommended that Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the classified salary schedule as submitted by Ms. Sarah Hamlin and Ms. Samry Devon, and is recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield. Before we take any motion, Dr. Stubblefield, is there anything else that we needed to provide or any additional information from Ms. Hamlin to share?
I was going to invite Ms. Hamlin to the podium just to give a verbal overview in case others are watching, or we're going to go back of just what board is approving. I know the PowerPoint is there, but just so that people can hear what the board is approving.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Stubblefield, Randy, and the board. I'm Sarah Hamlin, and I'm just going to talk about the highlights of the new schedule and the process that we went through. So under strategic theme number 4, attract, hire, develop, and retain employees, we are interested in coming up with a schedule that does just that. It both attracts qualified candidates and retains employees. So we are moving to, under the guidance of Educational Management Services, or Solutions, I'm sorry, and with their coordination throughout the process, we are moving to a schedule that will recognize longevity for continuing staff members. So on this schedule, staff who continue from one school year to the next will move columns to be able to separate them a little bit from the new hires coming on, which is something that we've heard feedback on multiple times. And then we reviewed a few different positions with EMS, and then our goal for the new schedule is to simplify and consolidate the schedules to make it hopefully easier for our staff to understand. Positions are placed on levels on the new schedule, and then staff are placed on columns within their position level, just at a very high level. We placed all staff on the new schedule and were able to do column movement and a base wage increase in that process to be able to allow up to a 5% increase to the entire classified pool. Another aspect of the work that we did with Educational Management Solutions was our market analysis for a few specific positions. At this time, it looks like the results of that market analysis were that KCKPS wages are generally very competitive. So in the areas we reviewed, we are competitive. As we move forward with the classified salary schedule, we are working with department leaders to be able to collaborate. There was collaboration that we did throughout the process on reviewing specific job descriptions to ensure that we had the correct information, and we were kind of working on details to nail down where positions should be placed if we felt like there was any question, or if there were positions that we needed to look at a little more closely. So that department leadership collaboration was really important throughout the process. That is all still ongoing. We are working with department leaders to be able to coordinate communication and ensure that our staff, as this new schedule is rolled out, our staff have knowledgeable supervisors and directors to be able to go to ask questions and get answers, and then HR will be available as well. So then we will be posting, as over the next little while, we will be posting the new schedule and position levels. We'll post it on the website. We will have a little blurb in what's happening, I imagine. And then classified salary letters, when we send out our annual salary letters, they will include each staff member's placement and an overview of the process that we went through.
Thank you, Ms. Hamlin. Any questions for Ms. Hamlin? Yes, Ms. Russell.
So I just want to clarify, because you said in a little while. What does that mean? When can people expect to see both the wage schedule, and I think the position level. For me to know that secretaries are level 20, when will that become information on the website available? And within, I guess my question is two-pronged. Within job descriptions that are listed on our website, will it provide that level number or will it still provide the range? There we go.
Yes, so we already have all that documentation prepared and ready to go. I don't know that it will be this week. We obviously need to have approval by the board before we publish anything. I would imagine it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. I would say by the end of next week. There's no reason why we couldn't have things posted.
Okay.
And then, yes, second question was ranges and position levels. So we have a list of all of the positions that we use, and that list will be published along with the position level so that staff can then go to the classified chart and find the level for their position, and they will see the range.
Thank you. And my final question, I asked it back there, but I publicly want to ask. This schedule does not include the library, so when can we intend, we talked about a potential date, but when can we publicly intend to see the schedule for the library system?
So what I shared was they are making some final components, but I believe we should be ready by the July 18th meeting, July 16th. I keep making up my own date. July 16th at the July 16th board meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Nguyen.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad you made the statement that our salaries are competitive, because we did a market analysis. Seems like this is about the third market analysis that I've been on the board, and it seems like, which is okay. I mean, I understand competitiveness. I understand job satisfaction. I mean, I understand because I'm still in the labor force. But just it seems that there's a lot of, it's just a lot of analysis that has not been explained to us or to me. And it's, what is the cost of this segment of our employees? What's the total ticket?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
How much
So
does it cost
is
to
it-
fill that salary schedule with our classified and our administrators with the rate of increase that that the superintendent is presenting?
So
believe
that
it's
is
in
in the next motion when we put it into the budget. So the cost to do those salaries are, and I'll.
So it's, if, under item B, to,
Okay, I'll wait till then. Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you. Additional questions for Ms. Hamlin? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the classified salary schedule as submitted?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further questions or discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark, Yolanda Clark, yes. Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Hamlin and the team for all the work that you've put into that. I know that was a lot that went into that. Thank you, board, for your support as well. The next item, board, is item B. It's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approves the 5% increase to the classified salary pool with a maximum cost of $3,984,354 and a 3% increase to the administrative salary pool with a maximum cost of $522,247 as submitted by Ms. Tracy Kaiser, Mr. Steve Lilly, and recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? And Dr. Nguyen, I just want to make sure that that answered the question that you were asking.
Sure, Dr. Stubblefield, does this, is this within the budget?
Yes,
That we
this is what was presented when we presented the budget document with the certified staff, classified staff, and the things that we're continuing with ESSER, and yes.
So can we get a further, I guess, a comparison of how many real dollars this would mean for that position? Meaning that position in 23, 24 was this position in 24, 25 is that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next meeting, 16th?
I'm looking at the HR team. It shouldn't be, because we have everybody's
Okay.
current salary, and then we'll have what they make, but we can provide that
Thank
information.
you.
Yes.
Additional questions? Seeing none, Ms. Smith, roll call.
Yolanda Clark, Yolanda Clark, yes. Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next, we are up on item 7, agenda item 7. We will hear from Ms. Carol Levers about our libraries. Good evening, Ms. Levers.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Board. Good evening, Dr. Stubblefield. Okay. Not doing anything. Oh, I did it 3 times already. Thanks. Okay, I have last month's stats. We haven't done stats with you for a while. And with me, I have Sam Moore, who's the Assistant Director that will help me with some of the stuff. And also with me is Rachel Miller, who is the Children's Librarian at the South Library. And I wanted her to share with you our kickoff for the summer meeting as well. How do you open this thing? Okay. So as you can look at the May statistics, West Wyandotte, we've checked out 12,330 items, and that's printed items. And of course, our AV checkouts was 4,516, and we placed 1,582 items on hold. And the total, you can look at all the libraries, but basically the total checkouts for the month of May were 24,503 printout items, AV items, audiovisual is 12,211, and we placed 4,498 items on hold. On our e-community library, we signed on additional 240 people with library cards. Our reading and entertainment on our e-community use was 14,907. Those are people that don't come to libraries, but they utilize the libraries via our e-community library. And the database searches used were 23,308 hits. Our database sessions, we had 5,970. Programs, main library had about 70 programs in the month of May. 334 people attended. And you can see our Turner Library, 58 programs, and they had 10,994. Our total programs, you could see all the branches. The total programs for the system, we had 296 programs in our libraries for the month of May, and 13,684 patrons attended. Outreach, we had 9 outreach programs for the main library, and 1,083 people attended. You can see down our total for all the branches, 66 programs in outreach, and we had 5,523 people attending. And so I'm going to ask Rachel to share with you our summer reading kickoff.
I only remember because I was here in May and I struggled with the same thing. So I came in May to talk to you about our plans for our summer reading kickoff, but I'm here now to tell you how it went. So we counted the cars that attended. We had 154 cars and an estimate of 616 patrons. Here you can see our author. His name is Brandon Todd. We handed out his book, Bright Star, which is about friends who find an adventure at the library. So it perfectly fit our theme for this summer. He will be at Library in the Park this year as well, so if you weren't able to come out and get a book, come join us at Library in the Park in September, and we'll be handing them out again. So here are some other pictures of some of the things we did. Carol met a minion. RU was there socializing with all of our patrons. Our mobile library was there. They were handing out some of their discarded books, so kids got a chance to get another free book. We did a craft project with the kids. Our summer theme is adventure, so they got to make a pair of binoculars. And there's another picture of Brandon handing out some books. Other activities included bubbles. Bubbles are such a hit. We have bubbles at just about anything we do. We handed out popcorn from Velvet Cream this year. Some of our adult services staff were there to talk about adult summer reading, because summer reading is not just for kids, it's for all ages. Luann is up there talking about Schlegel. We did temporary tattoos, and a big hit this year was we had a video game truck come out. We showed Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a video game themed movie, and so we decided to have a video game truck out, and it was amazing, and the kids had such a fun time, the adults too. So you can see some grown-ups in there playing some games too. We are also now celebrating Pride Month at our libraries, so continuing with our summer programming. Our West Branch held their second Terrifically Me story time with Luna Flair. They had 62 attendees, and I saw a bunch of stuff on social media, people very grateful for this very inclusive story time. There are some more pictures there, so you can see Miss Luna Flair, some of the attendees, and the crafts that they made. Continuing with our celebration of Pride, we were invited to come out to Pride Fest, which is a metro-wide celebration of Pride. Our West staff did organize that, but staff from all of our locations went to Pride Fest. I know my staff at South talked about how amazing it was. They interacted with 3,200 people from the community and got to talk to them, and they talked about just what a fun time it was. It was a whole weekend, and so we had staff signed up for shifts to man our table there. There are a couple more pictures from Pride Fest. And then other branches have been doing some Pride celebrations as well. We all have displays. At Maine, you can make a button, and our mobile libraries, since they're mobile, are making some mini Pride floats. So they have to-go crafts that people can pick up.
Thank you for having me. Carol asked me to kind of come up here and talk to you all about one of the new tools that we're using in our collection development department to help address our DEI objectives in our strategic plan. So ever since we formed the collection development team a few years back, we've been manually kind of keeping track of all of the various DEI subjects and how we're collecting them to make sure that they're always increasing. Last year in the spring, Baker & Taylor, one of our major book vendors, began to offer a service that automates that for us. So every quarter, we send basically a snapshot of our collection to them, and they run it through their analysis that takes our various bibliographic records plus the information that they have from the publishers and gives us kind of a snapshot of where we're at as a total for our collection. And as of last year, this is where we were sitting at. And going hand in hand with that, we also have a aspect of their service that shows our collection development team some of these subjects as they're ordering, which allows them to more easily find this material and get it into our collection. And after about a year, you'll see that we're seeing a rise in all of our collections, from adult, juvenile, and teen collections, and this is just for our print material. We're seeing a lot more in our teen, given that it's a smaller collection as opposed to the other two, but also that's where we're seeing a lot of stuff being published, a lot of new stuff. I was just talking to my collection team last week, and they're quite shocked at where we're at with the teens as opposed to where we were at just a few years before. But yeah, Carol just wanted me to come here and highlight this, and it's an exciting new tool that we've been using to supplement what we were already doing and address some of the aspects of our strategic plan and making sure that our collections are serving the public and the communities that we serve here in KCK.
Last but not least, we have exhibits in both at West Wyandotte Library and the main library. And it's called, the one at West, Working America. An artist, Sam Coleman, presents American immigrants and first-generation Americans to work in small skilled trades as icons of the American experience. Another couple of pictures. It poetically acknowledges the lives and contribution working men and women make as a part of our country and our collective experience. And this display will go on until August 11th. And you're all welcome. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lever, Sam, and Rachel for the information. Board questions. Ms. Page?
Yeah. You reported that Turner had 58 programs and 10,994 people attend. Do you have any idea? Can you give some examples? What, if you don't know now, but could you let me know? What did they do
Sure.
to get all those people to come to the library?
Yeah.
What were some of their programs?
Mostly they go out to the schools, or they have programs in the Turner Rec, and the Turner Rec asks the libraries to do the programs, and I can give you a list of the programs.
Okay.
Instead of me just trying to remember some of them, but I'll definitely do that.
No, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions? Yes, Ms. Russell?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions. My first question, but maybe I'm coming back from it, because for the mobile programs, are you saying that's 11 stops or that's 11 individual programs? Is there a way that we can, within our monthly report, get the data around stops, operation? There's a lot of interest, and I don't know whether, my question is, should we be investing in another bookmobile because it's so popular, people love it, meeting people where they are versus them coming to the traditional library? I think there are pros and cons to both, but I am just trying to look at if the data supports said thing. I know there is a driver capacity issue as well. What supports can we be doing? But I need a little bit more data around the mobile before I can get my thoughts around the asks that I have. So
Maybe similar to what Ms. Lever, you're going to provide for the Turner programs and that specific information, maybe just for the mobile as well.
Yeah.
awesome. And then my last question goes back to the DEI data, and DEI being many things. Local authors, I can get the words out of my mouth, sorry. Local authors, what we're purchasing, is there a way to track if we're getting books from local authors within your current DEI system tracking? There's lots of local DEI, there are lots of local authors, not DEI, lots of local authors, but are we offering those at our library?
Yes, as far as local authors, that's one of the things that we strive to do here in the community is get more books by local authors. I know at Maine highlights them quite a bit and has kind of a monthly, I can't remember which month it is off the top of my head that they highlight that. So we're always collecting that, and it would be a part of this report. But if you would like, we can also look at manually kind of keeping track of how many that we are.
So you're saying those numbers are incorporated into the data that's
Yes.
already provided, but I think you're right. What I am asking for is the specific in the KC region, local being local within 150 miles.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
start to kind of compile. But yeah, that is something that we always try to strive for and get more local authors.
Thank
into
you.
this.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Additional,
Just as an FYI, that today we just welcomed 2 more drivers, so we fully staffed with a mobile, so just an FYI.
Thank you.
that's great, thank you. Additional questions? Great, seeing none, board, is there a motion to accept as an informational item the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library's Director's Report?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Board. Board, next we are at item 8, Board Policy. So these items, these particular policies that are in front of us were requested to come forward before the Board for a conversation and discussion to see if there's consensus around whether we want to make some adaptations or changes to some of these policies. So they're listed as first read, potentially, if that's what the Board's will is to do, but they're more here for information so that we have the opportunity to discuss and see if this is the direction that we do want to go or not as a board. So, and I'll, right before I get to you, Dr. Nguyen, I'll ask Ms. Russell if there's anything else that you would like to share around any of these, or just the policies in general submitted. Or
Yeah, I guess my only comment is that these are just starting points, I guess. I'm completely open to feedback. However, I think some of the changes we have internally already made, I just want us to, for sustainability, to ensure that our policies mimic actions. But then also one of the policies I am presenting for the first time is because I wholeheartedly believe that this board has said and intends to continue to identify ways to build community engagement or to be present, to interact with the community. And I want to make sure, regardless of who the 7 people are here, that that is work that this board continues to commit to. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Dr. Nguyen?
Thank you, and that's a very good point, and I'll start there about sustainability. I guess my question is for the board, is this the process we will use? Because past practice, policies have gone through legal first. So question is, did they go through legal?
So these particular policies, I think Ms. Russell had sent a copy to myself to look at, but they're a little bit different in the sense that they're not like the recommendation policies from KSD or KSB or from administration. Typically, when we get those policies, or if we get policies at a board meeting where the board says, hey, we'd like you to look at a particular policy and make changes to it, that's the normal process. The board and board members can make recommended changes to
Yes, no
policy.
question, Greg.
Well,
No, did they come through legal or did they not?
I saw them before they were on the agenda, but I have not reviewed them in the sense that we do a regular policy because we need direction from the board to
Okay.
know what to do.
And so that leads me then to the next question, that our board handbook says that we shall establish a regular review plan to revise and update all of its policies. Understandably, we don't do that. So that is something if we are to do, then we are to do. My next comment, though, is I'll circle back with the sustainability that some of these suggested changes, I think, reflect more of the current board members than what is standard for an organization that has a budget of $500,000. Specifically, a finance committee. You, for public, for accountability, for transparency, regardless of the people, you wouldn't have a $500,000 organization and not have a finance committee. So I look forward to going through them, having discussions, and just circle back to the question, what will be our practice moving forward? And that's a board decision, it's not your decision or mine. But, you know, if we can consider policies, and we have, I don't even know how many there are. So is it, we just bring it to the board? Is that what we're going to do moving forward?
No, so we do actually have a policy in place around how, and Mr. Goheen mentioned it, around how our policies are to come before the board and
Right.
any modifications to be changed. So I think we've got a policy in place that we've got to follow around our board policies and setting those policies, which I think the board would want to continue with that process and the way that we do that. The reason that I put these on the agenda for tonight is there was a request to have a conversation around these policies at the last board meeting. We didn't do that. It was submitted to our leadership and to Mr. Goheen. And so I, thought, hey, if the board,
So we can do it
the
like
board can
this
have a
moving forward.
conversation.
We can do it like this moving forward.
Well, I think we probably should follow our policy that's set in place around how our policies come forward before the board.
Well, Mr. Lopez, that being the case, wouldn't it make sense that we table this, give it to Mr. Goheen, allow him to review it, and then come back and have a discussion? If that's supposed to be the protocol, we didn't follow it.
So
He said he didn't read it. So let's be clear. That's what
I
I
want to be clear that when I provided, I asked for next steps. I want to be clear. That is exactly what I asked for. Here are the policies and here are my provided recommendations to update the policies. This board, a year ago, when we brought back the solicitation, that was the same process that Ms. Clark requested. So whether or not this is a first read or not, that's not my argument. My argument is that I asked for guidance and I said, hey, I'd like for the board to discuss these. It was then added to the agenda. So I want to be clear about that. The second thing is, similar to my response to you, Dr. Nguyen, the board also at the last board retreat made a motion to the handbook that made a decision to have budget meetings beginning in October. Thus was the reason why I was saying, if the board is having a budget meeting, does that not serve the same purpose as the finance committee? I'm happy to entertain both or the budget meeting should also serve as the purpose of the finance committee. I clearly said that, but I also said, if that is not if my interpretation is wrong, please let me know. I got zero response. So I want to be clear that I was not speaking on behalf of myself or what I think the current direction of the board was. I was saying I don't think that it makes sense for us to have a finance committee and a budget committee if the actual meeting revolves around the same thing and we need all 7 members to be present in order to make any decisions. That was my intention. That was my intent. It was not to remove a committee for anybody's sake. It really was for efficiency of the board. That was what I was looking for.
And I'll apologize, Ms. Russell, because you did ask for clarity, and I didn't follow up regarding like the next steps. So I do think, so I don't want the board to think that, you've requested, and so I do think we do have a process, and I want to make sure that we do follow that process around our policies moving forward. So whatever the board wants to do here.
For me, because sometimes various board members send things, but because there is not like when it's the KSB policies or policies that you have discussed here, Greg and staff has clear communication. In this particular case, we could not necessarily, in order not to have daisy chain meeting, we couldn't send it out to everybody and say, hey, do you want to discuss it? So at that point, I did say, there's no report at the next meeting. Why don't we put it on there? And then at that point, board can decide like if it's going to Greg, if it's first read. Some other things, specifically like with the naming committee and stuff, those are things that we currently do or will streamline that. And so that's where it came from. I think this is an anomaly. I will say, and I know it's in the handbook, because there's no clear process for reviewing policy, every time an individual board member or if something doesn't come up here publicly, we're going to be in this position about how do we disseminate this information to the board and determine if it's an agenda item or if it's, where does it go? And so when we had the board prep, it's like 3 board members can say it's an agenda item, and that's where I didn't feel comfortable, like, people making a decision so everybody can see it. So I think that's one of the things at the, your retreat, when you're talking about committees, while we don't have a policy committee, getting clarity on when things come up for an individual board members, or if they notice something with a particular policy, how does that align with our current practice? Because Greg nor I, unless you're just saying it's up to my and Greg's discretion when it comes to us, and that puts us in an awkward position, right? So.
Squeeze, the big squeeze. Mr.
Dr.
Well, I'll
Rand.
just say for board and to direct response to you, Ms. Russell, I would direct your attention to the description of the Finance Committee that's on the webpage that identifies some of the responsibilities, suggested responsibilities that are monitor and make recommendations on finance-related issues regarding general business and operations of the district, and that areas of fiscal concern to the district, areas outside of just establishing a budget. So I don't know if any of you have looked at our webpage where our committees are set up and the description of some of their generic duties. That drives my comments that when we get into updating policies, when we get into updating the credit card manual, you would want it to take place at a subcommittee, literally a subcommittee of the board, instead of wordsmithing, as we will do for these other policies. So that drives my comment to your comment. And I think, again, full transparency, I did respond to you as the originator of these, I guess, I really did not know if you were the only originator of the suggestions, but that from our last retreat and the, how do I say this publicly? Some of the comments that were directed at a specific solution without a conversation. Again, the definitions, well, I guess my question, did you look at some of these and you then, if you looked at the Finance Committee description, then you would have known, based on what you just said, that there are broader responsibilities than just the budget?
Yes, and I thought that we can come back to the table. Part of the thought process is that we can call it Finance Committee that starts in October. We can call it Budget Committee. We can call it Money Committee. But that committee...
That's the full board's responsibility.
Right. But we're having those Budget Committee / Finance Committee conversations as a full board.
Correct.
Because currently, the way the committee structure is that the committee provides recommendations to the board.
Correct.
We can get more done from a budget finance perspective if we're all 7 at the table.
At the budget. The budget is unique. The budget is unique.
Okay. But I'm saying if there one thing that maybe the first half of the meeting is the finance part and the second part is the budget. That was what I was implying or intending by the thought. But I want to deflect to the rest of the board for...
Yeah, and I'll also just say at the retreat on Tuesday, we're going to have a conversation as part of the board handbook review around the committee structures and ensuring dates and things of that nature. So we're going to have a little bit more in-depth conversation on Tuesday about around the committees and committee structure, including Finance Committee, and which goes right into the conversation around our monthly budget conversation. So I think we can flesh that out a bit more on Tuesday as well. So I guess my question to the board, having, heard all this and again, wanting to make sure that we're following our own policy and process around these policies, and to Dr. Stubblefield's question as well, I think there's a little bit of gray around how we get these in front of the board. Board, I would ask how you want to handle these policies in front of us, or these recommendations. Mr. Goheen has a copy of them. We can ask him to review. If the board does not want to review any of these, it's the board's discretion as well.
Well, Mr. Lopez, I make a motion that we defer and send these to Mr. Goheen and then come back and have a discussion about it. If that's in the protocol about how it's supposed to be done, let's try to adhere to it and allow him to review it and then come back and discuss them.
So for clarity, just for myself and Mr. Goheen, I don't
Well, I'll
want
second it so you can have a discussion.
okay, sorry about that.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, Dr. Stubblefield.
For clarity, when it comes up, if Greg gets it from any of you, he should review it, and then we put it on the agenda with his review, and then you make the determination? Or would you, before Greg spends his hours doing it and making the suggestions, do you want to determine as the board if that's a policy that the board wants to entertain?
Well, I thought it's already in policy that he's supposed to look at it. That's all I'm saying.
It is, at the
Then
direction.
let's let him look at it and then bring it back, because I'm getting confused.
You get 1 hour.
But I think, Ms. Page, the question is if Greg reviews it and it's then something that we decide we don't want to make changes or we don't, so we're trying to get the buy-in that it's
No,
worth.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, let him review it. If we don't want to accept that, that's all right as the board. But at least we got it in there that he's supposed to do it. Let him do it, and then bring it back and we can talk about it. Because he might say, well, no, I don't think you can do that. I'd rather hear that. And then we can decide, vote, do it by consensus. I don't care. At least we heard from the attorney. Then let's go from there.
So high level, Greg did look at them, and none of them, there were no issues with it. So before he spent time he looked at the yellow and glanced. But if Greg does that, I'm just saying because it is your budget. So these were simple changes, not a complex policy. And I'm not trying to use this as an example. I just want to hear from the board that if I get it from any of you all, regardless of the complexity, the topic, or whatever, it goes to Greg. Greg reviews it, however many hours it takes Greg to review it. We put it on the agenda, and then whether you move forward or not, Greg, regardless of where the full board stands, we are having Greg to do hours or
Well, he
1
didn't
hour.
say it would
The
Maybe we should
complexity.
take that out and not
Yeah.
put it on. I'm saying take it off, whatever the policy is. Because we have policies and we don't do them. So take it off. That ends that whole debate. Because this is crazy. We say that's what we're supposed to do. Then when you try to do it, oh, we shouldn't do that. It might take 24 days, which is not. It just seems crazy.
Yeah. No,
Mr. Mylan.
What does the policy say how this should be handled?
So the policy is BD, I'm going to say the wrong one, hold on a second.
BDA.
BDA, and it says if for policy changes by the board, or policy adopted changes by the board will direct the superintendent and administration to develop policy language and have it reviewed by the board attorney to be presented to the board. That's what your policy says.
Is that what we should be following? Or if we're not following that, do we have to inject or go somewhere to change that to revamp something different? Or are we going to follow the policy?
So just for clarity.
If he's already. Policy say, and I thought I heard this said, that he was to review it. That's what I'm talking about.
And he has not reviewed it.
No, I know he hasn't.
Okay,
That's
he
why I'm
said.
saying he should review it. Did it not say that? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Ms. Page, I don't think any of us are arguing about what the policy is. This was an anomaly. So I just want clarity, and I'm good, and you all can vote, and we can move on. Is that if any of you have something that you want to change in policy, we give it to Greg. Greg reviews it. We put it on the agenda. You then decide if it's something that you want to change or implement. And that is it, because what the policy says is, when you just read it, it comes like, it's after you give us direction. In this case, I'm just assuming if any board member brings it up, that you have given the blessing.
The real,
The policy also just says, board policies and handbooks may be amended or repealed at any board meeting by a majority vote of the board. Attorney involvement, board policies and handbooks or recommended changes thereto may, not required, not shall, be submitted to legal counsel to determine their legality before they are submitted to the board. There is, what I'm currently looking at says there's no requirement that he has to see them. And it also says any changes. Drafting of policy, which I guess BCE, the community engagement one, would be a different one that would fall under the superintendent's purview. That's different. So that was I just wanted to provide that clarity. It does not say shall or must, it says may. So.
Exactly.
well,
So can I make a recommendation that maybe it show up under new business? I mean, I'm just thinking about a starting point. If you get, someone says, can we make a change here? I don't know the logistics behind it, but maybe it shows up under new business. And because it's under new business, if no one makes a motion or says, I don't want this under new business, then at that point, it's a starting point for the go forward. I don't know all the logistics.
just as one thing from my perspective on this is, what you don't want to do is have me reviewing a policy language that is a hard no from the rest of the board. That's what you don't want to do. That's really the issue. If it's something that you're going to consider as a board and that you have, that's when you want me to look at it and make sure it's legal and make sure the language is okay. If it's a hard no from the board, then you don't want to spend my time looking at it. But I'll look whatever you want. These are not policies that have huge changes that would take very long for me to look at and say, come back and say, yeah, this language is okay. This is some language you might want to consider changing. These are easy in terms of what's at stake here. Your tougher ones, frankly, are the ones that KASB does the first draft of, and that's part of your membership there. And then I'm looking at those to compare those to your current policies. Those are the harder ones because those are statutory changes and stuff like that. These are, there's some places where you've got some issues in them that I can see where you've got some, on the naming facilities. Do you really want it to be shall accept requests as opposed to discretionary? There's some things in here that you might want to look at, but these particular ones are not going to take very long to look at and come back, and then you guys can have a discussion, do whatever you want. I just didn't want to do that without some direction from the board as a whole saying, yes, Greg, go take a look at these policies. That's where I was coming from on it.
So keeping in line with Ms. Clark's, if everyone will follow for 1 second. So when Dr. Stubblefield or board president vice president receive policies, it would show up as new business, get consensus that everyone is on board, and then Greg would review, and then after Greg has reviewed, it would come back as a first read.
That's exactly.
I don't know where we need to put that.
That has to be a motion.
Yeah.
Because you are changing policy, which is okay, but that has to be a motion.
But what policy am I changing, or am I just creating a?
New practice.
Process, practice.
That's what I'm wondering. I don't
So-
think that it's changing the policy.
Mr. Goheen, if that were the case, and if there's consensus around the board, and I don't know where we're going to go, but, and if there's a motion, just curious, I want to make sure that we are honoring the current policies and practice and like what your understanding is. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page of what that process is.
So I think the way you have the current practice is your policies any change to policy can come from a variety of sources. They can come from a request from staff, they can come at a request from a board member, they can come at a request or change. Frankly, I'll make suggested changes if there's a legal change in the law. For example, Title IX is changing. You're going to get proposed changes coming from us. KSB is working on that. We're working on that. That's coming. And that's not coming from your staff or your board members, right? You may have some changes for FLSA because of the changed regs coming too. So there are a variety of ways that policy changes can come to the attention of the board. And I don't think you want to hamstring yourselves into one solid, this is the only way it can happen. Practice, not by policy, you do the 3 reads, and you do the 3 reads to make sure that the board has a chance to read the policy, proposed policy, suggest changes, see what the revised changes look like before you have a final vote. And I think that's a very good system that you guys have in place there. It's a little cumbersome, but it does make sure that the public, the stakeholders, employees, everybody has had a chance to see what the policy changes are going to look like before the final adoption by the board. What you're talking about right now is a little tweak on that, I think, which is if you have policy changes that are coming from a board member or perhaps from a committee, although maybe less so a committee, because if a committee, you've already got 3 board members who are already saying, yeah, well, this is something we think you ought to do. If it's coming from an individual board member, perhaps it does need to come on for a first read to make sure the board as a whole, or at least 3 members or some degree of the board are in favor of looking at that change before you have staff or myself spend the time or energy on that policy change. So I do think we need some guidance from the board on policy changes that are really coming from individual board members so that staff time and my time and frankly the board's time is not spent on something that is not favored by the board as a whole, or at least 3 members of the board.
Okay, you didn't answer the question. The question is, Ms. Clark made a suggestion. Ms. Russell followed up. If it then becomes new business, does that require a motion, number 1? And then what is the motion changing, a practice, or is the motion changing a policy?
I think it would be changing a practice because the board could always change a policy at a board meeting if the board chose to do so by motion. So I think that is a practice as opposed to a policy.
So how do you codify the practice?
My suggestion would be that you make a change within your.
Make a motion.
Make a motion. I would make the motion to make a change to the handbook language and include it in there because that's where your practices reside. I think that makes the most sense.
Well, that needed to be
So
clarified.
I will make a motion that the board.
I think you had a pending motion already.
Oh, and there is a motion on the floor too.
I'm sorry.
Wanda had,
Yeah.
And as I understood Ms. Page's motion, it was related to these 4 policies to send them to me to look at before you went forward.
Correct.
That's what I understood it to be.
Yes, so there is a motion to send these items to Mr. Goheen for review and potentially be brought back after his review. Ms. Russell, I didn't want to interrupt you. Was there a different thought around that? You were going in a certain direction just around the process that Mr. Goheen spoke of. We are going to touch on the handbook on Tuesday, so that would also be an appropriate time to make any changes to the process in the handbook.
Don't we have to vote on the motion? The motion's on the floor.
So.
When you come
can
back to that.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So and just for clarity, so we're all on the same page, you can vote for this motion since no one has any objection. Greg can move forward, but then you can vote on the second motion to say that's the practice, like one doesn't prohibit the other.
So we'll go ahead and, unless there are any other questions on this particular motion, which is for Mr. Goheen to review these 4 policy suggestions, recommendations, and the language. Are there any other thoughts on that specific motion?
Is that what the motion actually covers? Because I took it is that what you were saying, Ms. Page? I wanna
Yeah,
make sure
that's
that
what I was
For
saying.
these
Vote on
4,
it.
nothing for nothing else?
Put it up.
Yeah, for these items, yep, okay. There are no other questions. Ms. Smith, roll call, please.
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then I think, so there's conversation around potential practice and how we might adjust or change that practice, whether that requires a motion, a change to our handbook is what Mr. Goheen was suggesting, which would require action as well. Board, we are taking up the handbook on Tuesday, where we could review the changes that have been made at the last retreat and make additional changes if you would like that now, or potentially.
So I will make a motion that, Greg, that we have Greg prepare language around policy BDA and make said changes around developing and adopting policy. I guess that's my motion. That's what you're saying we need?
I think you could do it in the handbook, but if you want me to look at the board policy on developing policy, I could do that as well.
I thought I just heard you say we needed to update the policy part.
But I thought he said practice was the issue.
It is. I think it's a practice issue as opposed to the policy. Whoops. So I think your board policy covers it because it simply allows individuals to propose changes. The practice is what are you guys going to do with those proposed changes when it comes to the board?
So how about this, Ms. Russell, I know that you have a motion. You withdraw your motion. So, Board, would you be okay with, is there a motion to have Mr. Goheen review and draft language within the handbook that also, and is in compliance with our policy BDA around our policy process?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions? I think all I'm trying to get is to have Mr. Goheen be able to review the handbook, draft language, make sure it's in compliance with policy BDA, and then gives us a path forward on this. Additional questions or comments?
My additional question would be, if we have the policy, and Mr. Goheen reviews the policy, can we document the practice?
In the handbook.
In the handbook.
That's what the motion is.
That's what I'm understanding the direction to be, is to come up with language to include in the handbook that would outline the process for,
Codified it.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm understanding the direction to be.
Okay, and it would not be so strict as to say, if you were to, okay,
Will not.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm awake.
Under the category of board policies in the
Correct.
handbook.
Correct. Page 23, it looks like.
And never know what version it is.
Additional questions or comments, discussion? Okay, Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Mylan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, we are now under our communications item, agenda item number 9. We will hear from our superintendent, Dr. Anna Stubblefield, Superintendent of the Year.
No, that is not what that was. Good evening, everyone. I have a few announcements. First, I just want to say we had 157 staff members, including administrators from our team, who attended the Avid Summit Institute last week, where they spent time mastering new strategies and connecting with an amazing community of educators. We'll provide a summary of what that was in a week, but I did just want to acknowledge it. I did receive several emails from staff members stating that and stating how much the Avid training has changed their instructional practices. So I just wanted to thank our executive directors of schools. They hosted and went with the staff and led that training. So we were able to send 157 staff members to that. Over the weekend, a group of 9 students competed in the 2024 National Speech and Debate Tournament in Des Moines, Iowa. The Iowa tournament is the largest high school scholastic national tournament in the country and has run continuously since 1931. Several students made it to the supplemental rounds of the competition, Sumner Academy Senior London Monroe took 6th place in the prose competition and was a finalist in the program of oral interpretation of literature competition. Over 6,000 students from 1,500 schools competed in the tournament. This marks Sumner Academy's 32nd appearance in the tournament. So congratulations to the Sumner Academy students, Principal Rick Malone, and the hard work of Ms. Jamel Brown for their continued success and achievement. Tomorrow is our last day for the district's summer learning program. I want to thank all of our students for taking advantage of the learning opportunities this summer. Also, our heartfelt thank you to the summer learning staff, the district and administrators who organized it, for their hard work and dedication to enhancing our students' academic experiences and for making the program great for our students this summer. And this is a reminder to our parents and our general community that open enrollment ends on Friday, June 30th. If you are interested in attending KCKPS, the application is on the website. Please visit our website for more information. Also, we are reaching out to families about just our general enrollment to remind them, if they haven't done that, please contact our Welcome and Enrollment Center so that we can have accurate counts as we continue to staff our buildings. And also for our early childhood programs, you can make appointments by reaching out to the district office. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. I don't know who recommended or nominated me for the award last week, but I work with an incredible team, and the progress that we have made we wouldn't be able to do without the staff that I get the privilege to work with on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. Just a few comments. Thank you, Ms. Drew, for taking over the last board meeting while I was gone. You, as always, do an incredible job and always continue to inspire, and I continue to learn from you. So thank you for the work that you've done, and thank you, board. I learn from all of you every time we meet. I promise I do. I also want to thank the Kansas City, Kansas Foundation for Excellence for their golf tournament. It was an amazing success. All the work that they do to support our district, our families, our schools, and our community. It was great being out there. Thank you to all of our volunteers who helped make that day great. All of our board members who participated. Great seeing you out there. Want to also just remind our board that we do have our board retreat next Tuesday. The agenda should be going live this week. We're finalizing a couple of things with Ms. Smith, so we'll make sure that we have that ready for you, and that is at MVP office. Is that correct? Yes, thank you. Next Tuesday at 11 a.m. To 4 p.m., 3:30 p.m. So we'll see you next Tuesday. On Saturday, I was at the newly renamed Earl Watson Senior Community Center, which was previously the Bethany Community Center. It was great to be out there and see Ms. Page was out there and others, so many other community members, just honoring such a great individual in our community. If you've had the honor of meeting Mr. Watson and his entire family, they've done a lot of great things for our community, a staple here in KCK. So it was great being out there. Seeing that happen, a long time coming. Just a quick brief story. I coached basketball for about 15 years, and I've never played basketball. I know some, but to coach it, Mr. Watson was there when I first started coaching. He really taught me and really helped me and mentor me, and so it was just a special moment to see that, and I spent countless hours with him and his family, and just learning a lot from Mr. Watson. So it was great to see that and see him out and about. So thank you to everyone who helped make that happen. Happy Father's Day, belated Father's Day to all of our fathers out there. Just want to say Happy Father's Day to folks. And I think that's all I have for today. I know there were a lot of, also just want to recognize all of the Juneteenth events that took place. I know the district participated. Many of you participated in a lot of those events and in our community, and they continue to grow and just celebrate our community. So it was beautiful to see all of that continue to happen. Just one last quick thing. Part of the reason I was gone earlier this month, I was at a conference, Grant Makers in Health Conference, and I got to brag a little bit about my work, being on the school board and the work that we do as a board, the work that we're doing here at the district around our trauma-informed and resilience and social-emotional learning, mental and behavioral health work that we do as a district, our social workers, our counselors, our team that does a great job. I'll tell you, just from a national perspective, the conversations that we had at that conference around just the impact that, and we know this, right? The impact that mental health, behavioral health, trauma has in our community, on our children, and how they show up and how they learn, and our staff as well, and what we need to continue to do to support all of our scholars and our staff and our families. I just want to commend this board for continuing to support that work, for our leadership and our staff who do the great work that they do every single day. So thank you for that. And then I wanted to say thank you to Ms. Samry Devon and to Chief Curtis Nicholson, who this is their final board meeting tonight. So I do just want to say thank you to both of them. And I know there are several others who are leaving our district after this month, but thank you for your leadership, for all that you've brought to our district, for your commitment. You're going to continue to do great things, and hopefully we continue to cross paths. But I just personally want to say thank you and how much I value both of you. So I'll open up to the rest of the board for any additional thoughts.
Jump in. I had the privilege of joining the DEI conference, When You See Me, which was hosted under Ms. Salinas and Dr. Campbell. And so it was a great day. Our staff showed up, a lot of great speakers, a lot of great vendors. I appreciate all the staff that were there. I just named a couple, but it takes a lot to make those types of events happen. And so greatly appreciate my time there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Page.
Yeah, I also attended the golf tournament. I want to thank Dr. Campbell for riding me around. Tried to kill me a couple of times. No, I'm just kidding. Also went to the Bethany program for Mr. Watson, and that was phenomenal because I think he's touched a lot of lives and helped a lot of our kids, and he will be missed. I also attended with Crosslines and Miss Rachel Russell, the homeless and housing tour and programs that are set up to help people in our area. Crossline, I didn't know they had a grocery store. We need to make sure people are dealing with not having enough food, that particular program offers groceries as well as breakfast and lunch Monday through Friday. People need to be aware, and they're willing to help people in whatever way that they possibly can. And then we just toured the different centers and areas because somehow we built housing in the 60s, but we kind of stopped in the 60s within the local inner city urban core. So we got to do something to help people and provide low-income housing so that they can exist and survive. So they did an excellent job. And then two things. One, Jamel Brown was the drama and speech coach at Sumner, is going to another district, and we're losing a great person. She's done a phenomenal job, not that the others have not. She's brought all kind of notoriety to our district through the debate team and so forth. And we also lost Mr. John Pride Jr., who worked at the public library, and we had his services 2 weeks ago. So we just don't know everyone who passes, but he was a graduate of Wyandotte High School and also worked for the school district.
Thank you, Ms. Page.
I'll add.
Yes, Dr. Nguyen.
Don't you want to go first about your cross lines? Oh, okay. June 15th, I had a KSB board meeting, and what we discussed was then followed up and sent to us in as attachments. KISA 2.0 update. Interesting, very interesting. Title IX policy language, very interesting. And cell phone policy. And so we can forward to board members that data, and I'd like to see it on our agenda for the retreat because it will impact us. Although we know Title IX is something that, make a motion. No, I'll just send it to everybody.
The Title IX stuff is coming, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. Additional comments?
Nothing? Nothing?
Seeing and
believe it.
hearing none. Board, I would now entertain a motion to recess to executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of all parties involved under COMA or,
I don't know which one this is, but do the shorter one first.
5 minutes
Yeah.
at 7:20.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Smith? Questions? I'm sorry. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes?
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you. a motion to return to open session, please? Moved by Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Mylan. Any questions? Ms. Smith, roll call.
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew. Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Thank you. Is there a motion to recess to executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of parties involved under COMA to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Lilly, Ms. Devon, Dr. Campbell, Mr. Goheen for 10 minutes? For 10 minutes, starting at 7:35. Moved by Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. Drew. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew. Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.
Allen Junior, yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to return to open session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark,
Yolanda Clark, yes.
Maxine Drew, Maxine Drew, yes. Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Win, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, we'll see you next Tuesday at 11 o'clock at MVP. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Have a great night.
So I do have
All day long with you,
Oh,
Greg? I
is he-
can't, don't think I can have.
Is Mr. Bowles?